What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, your DIY guy. If you're new here, welcome. Go ahead, like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of this exciting content. On today's episode, we're fixing this pergola and changing it up, so stay tuned and let's get started. On this pergola, we had to fix the pitch, which is basically the angle at which it slopes, and it was sloping towards the house, and that meant with this shade cloth, all the rain was entering in the back door, which is obviously no good. So the first order of business was to take down the rafters as well as the shade cloth, and so we simply unscrewed all of the L brackets that was holding them in place, and these were simply the battens which actually fell off. That's how bad it was, which was actually a safety hazard, so good thing we were doing this. With all of the old pergola structure now out of the way, we can turn our attention to making it good again. And we started by painting this front wooden beam in a black wood preservative called Creosote, and I'll explain that in a second. We also added additional truss hangers, which now allowed us to reduce the pitch away from the house. And you'll recall the rafters used to sit on top of the wooden beam. Now they will sit inside, which means we'll have to cut them, but I'll show you that in a second. We opted to get everything new because some of the old wood was just rotted away, and that's because that shade cloth didn't offer much in the way of weather protection. Here's a view of the brand new timber we're going to be installing. This wood preservative called Creosote, it is a thick, oily black substance. You definitely don't want to get it on your hands, and it's pretty smelly, but it will do the job for years to come. And it will suck into the wood and actually become dry to the touch, so you don't have to worry about it in the future. Now we're going to cut it to size so that each of the rafters can fit in between the truss hangers, and then we can get on to installing. But before that, let's talk about the sponsor for today's episode. Our friends over at Wood Profits have a fantastic opportunity. If you're like us and you love woodworking, but your hobby is burning a hole in your wallet, well, maybe it's time to turn your passion into a profit, because you can discover the step-by-step guide to launching your own woodworking business from home with minimal capital. So go ahead, click the link down in the description box below. Go tell them we sent you. But now let's get back to the video. Here's a quick pro tip. When installing the rafters, you want to cut them about 1 centimeter, which is about 10 millimeters, or half an inch, as my American friends would say it, so that you can adjust the front wooden beam. And that's so that you can make it plumb and then screw it in securely. Now those little tiny holes are there for a reason, so make sure you use them. Now that all the rafters are secured in place, you can dramatically see how the pitch has been reduced from the house away towards that front wooden beam, which means we should have adequate runoff of rainfall and no more rain coming in the back door. We then go ahead and install all of the thinner purlins evenly spaced away from each other, and then go ahead and pop on the polycarbonate sheeting before securing that down in place for good. To install the polycarbonate sheeting, we are using these roofing screws with gaskets, and these are amazing. I prefer them much more than roofing nails, because versus drilling a pilot hole and hammering away, potentially causing damage to your fingers as well as the purlins, I think this is much easier. We'll leave a link down in the description box so you can go and find out where to get some for yourself. Now, the homeowner opted to go for a clear polycarbonate sheeting, and there's pros and cons to this as well. The pros are obviously it provides unobstructed views as well as a clear line of sight and a bit more headroom. But of course, you'll see every speck of dirt and debris that lands on it. Of course, heat is a factor and your silicone lines will sadly be visible. So keep that in mind when you're doing your polycarbonate sheeting project. Next step, we reattach these end pieces of the rafters that we cut off. Remember, we cut them shorter so that they can fit on the inside. And now we simply reattach them and touching them up with the same creosote paint to allow them to dry out evenly and look the same. We turned our attention to the back of the pergola and just ensured all of these existing truss hangers were securely fastened to the wall and added additional screws. We then cleaned up the polycarb sheeting with a file. Now, you could add flashing on the top, but we were confident this was quite deeply tucked in under the house's roof that we shouldn't see any water creeping in there. And then on the front side, we simply cleaned up the edge to make it nice and straight using a marker and a straight edge, and of course our baby grinder with a cut-off wheel. And that wraps up this project, which was a simple one but an effective one. I hope you enjoyed it as much. If you did, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. We truly appreciate it. It helps us grow a lot. Make sure you're subscribed, and of course hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we come out with an exciting DIY video just like this. Until next time, we'll see you on Nail and Screw.